start off this beautiful Thursday morning. It is a bit chilly, but just as we've started, you already know that we've got you covered. We're going to ensure that you get some warmth from wherever it is that you are watching us from. I don't know why Regina decided to be stiff while every one of us was just, you know, grooving to the beat. Regina decided, you know what? Regina, surely just move a bit.
It caught her by surprise.
Well,
yeah,
I didn't get the memo that we were supposed to dance the jig. Then I remembered I am very old out of the game.
Oh,
so my moves might be considered outdated. So
huh?
instead of embarrassing myself, I'd rather just be support from, you know, when you're told use your inner voice, just, you know, yeah, and then we say, unless you're actually paying me to dance, let's say, yeah. I don't dance for free.
Okay,
yes.
we get that. But this is how we do it right here on Good Morning Kenya. This is Entertainment Thursday. My name is Vivian Degwa and my DJ is here. Good morning, Unique.
Good morning, good morning.
How's your day?
It's going madhafiti. It's a beautiful Thursday. Kila Thursday nakuanga too hyped. The weekend inazanga Thursday. Tukielekea weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, so more music today, new music, old school music lined up for you guys. So talking of new music, I have some new music that has been released like last week, the other week. King Kaka and Scam Cardinali, the song that the album I released juzi inaitwa Soko. They just released a video. Yani has a new song inaitwa Unanifaa, a very beautiful song, a love song. For those who wanapenda mapenzi, that song is for you. Godi Tena, he has a new song. Steve Simple Boy akona new song. Now this song of Steve Simple Boy is very like si venye tumemzoea, very unique song.
Okay.
Inafanya vizuri sana pale YouTube, so you can go there and unaweza you watch. This song ili drop jana. Prince Inda na Fina.
Okay.
Very beautiful song inaitwa Pepeta. Very beautiful song. Matata and Bien wako na new song. That song is actually right now trending right now kwa mtandao pale inaitwa Mpishi. Moji Shot Baba pia new song inaitwa For Me. So tukiendelea na show, I'll be sampling most of the songs, the new songs, the old school. So keep it locked.
Absolutely. We're going to be having a blast right here. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Vivian. Indeed, it's going to be a very interesting show. But before we get to the entertainment part, I'll be having two important conversations, one centering around the youth and the future of the country. Do they really have real political influence, or they just been used as a voting bloc for the political class? That is one of the conversations that is coming up right after the news. Then thereafter, I'll be having a conversation on Kenya's role in global agricultural journalism, given that the country is gearing to host the International Federation of Agricultural Journalists Congress later this year. That is a conversation I'll be having with Steve Wablo, who is the president of International Federation of Agricultural Journalists, and also again Daniel, who is the secretary of Media for Environment, Science and Agriculture. That is a conversation that is coming to you right before we get to Kusheki Legi. So stay tuned to this program. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning to you, Tim. I was just like mesmerized when the DJ was mentioning the artists and the songs that are out. I'm like, Regina, how many of those artists
do you know? How many do you know? How many do you know?
Well,
oh, it was rhetorical. I let it remain as a rhetorical question.
King Kaka. Out of that list, King Kaka, yes, I would say I like his music and such. Don't ask me about the rest, but now when you mention Bien, Bien is one of those artists that I have liked, and even after he moved away from the Sauti Soul group of franchise, call it as it is, I like what he does. Now the rest,
well, that's why we're here.
Yeah, the rest, yeah. Now that's an issue. So when you're talking about old school DJ, you need to really also consider those who are really in that particular demographic that I find myself. When you say old school, I'm waiting to hear maybe hip hop from Tupac Shakur, Warren G. You know, when you say hip hop, old school, my head goes all the way back to the 2000s. You can even throw in some Magoo, Timbaland, you know, Dre, Eminem, you know.
Some B.I.G.
Yeah, you know, when you say old school, that is where it takes me. Then now we come to local old school. That's where we bring in this man, Juakali. He's reinvented himself and such.
Yeah.
Issa, I still think his music is still relevant, but yeah, that shows how different, you know, views and consumers out there take their music, so to speak. But hey, it's good. It's always a learning curve. Then I would want to pose a question to Vivian, Mike, as well as a DJ. There's something that I saw that is trending, and since it's entertainment, I'd want to pick your mind on it. There's a lady who went down on one knee at a mall to propose.
Oh.
Have you seen that clip?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Vivian Degwa,
Yeah.
would you go down on your knee and propose? Quickly, it's a yes, no.
No, it's clearly a no. It's a big no for
All
me.
right.
I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. It's a
All
big
right.
no.
So, let's hear from Mike then. Mike, would you, you know, how would you take it if
That
a
would-
lady in your life went down on their knees and
That would be
proposed with a ring in tow?
That would be a resounding no. There are things that should be left to people who are supposed to do some things.
Imagine going down on one knee as a
All
lady
right,
and
let's
the guy
hear from the
says
DJ.
no. And the guy says,
Would you be open to having your partner, you know, going down on one knee and proposing to you?
For me, it's a no. As men, we are born to lead, mama.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Imagine mazee dem ameinama na au.
Ay, hapana.
No.
All right.
No.
So, as a viewer who is watching Entertainment Thursday on KBC Channel 1, remember you can give us your feedback, get us on X at KBC Channel 1. So, as a woman, would you be going down on one knee to propose to the man in your life? And if you're a man, would you be open to such? Right? But then when the men say that they are the ones who are meant to lead, how come we have so many who are still in the come we stay for years without making any intentional or purposeful moves to claiming that woman in their lives?
wow, you woke up
If you're
ready
leading-
to throw jabs this
If
morning.
you're leading, let's not lead in verbatim. Let's lead in action. Well, now you're wondering, would Regina do it? Well,
Would you?
would Regina do it?
Of course no.
Would Regina do it?
I want to hear this.
Would Regina do it?
Tell us.
I mean, you'll have to wait a long time.
Till Kingdom.
All right, and we don't have time. Now let's talk about news. Let's look at what has been happening in the last 12 hours. And we start off with matters of higher education, where the Ministry of Education is racing against time to conduct public participation across the country to meet court ruling demands. Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migo confirms that his ministry has been working on a comprehensive report since October 2023, which will inform the next steps for implementing the university funding model. In a related development, Basic Education Principal Secretary Professor Ambassador Julius Bitok confirmed that the ministry will appeal a High Court ruling that declared the directive requiring parents to pay school fees through the e-platform unconstitutional.
The Ministry of Education is under pressure to align with the Court of Appeal's ruling that cleared the way for the implementation of the new university funding model introduced by President William Ruto. Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos revealed that the ministry has been working on a detailed report for months and it's now ready to shape the next course of action.
I think this week or next week you will be doing public participation on it, on the issues of the appeals. You will see some advertisement coming out. We are going to ensure that no student is left behind.
Migos also took the opportunity to announce a major shift in school classifications. The restructuring aims to give students more opportunities to pursue their interests and careers.
The schools will no longer be classified as national, extra-county or sub-county. Instead, classification will be based on the pathways that each school offers. The three pathways, as you are aware, are STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, social science pathway, and the arts and sports science pathway. Categorization of schools will also be based on the type of accommodation of schools, whether they are boarding or day.
In a stern warning, Migos reminded school principals that it is illegal to withhold student certificates.
People have said that this directive has been given many times and so nothing is going to happen. I assure you something is going to happen. If you hold, I will take action, both disciplinary and legal.
In a related development, Basic Education Principal Secretary Professor Ambassador Julius Bitok confirmed that the ministry will appeal a High Court ruling that declared the directive requiring parents to pay school fees through the e-citizen platform unconstitutional.
The government is committed to ensuring that we respect the court and to ensure that we obey the courts. However, we are going to appeal the decision because e-citizen is a platform that is very transparent.
Now we'll be keeping tabs on that, given that particular development is likely to affect how things are done, especially in institutions of higher learning there. Now, to the ongoing tour of Mount Kenya, President William Ruto has maintained that over his 20 years relationship with Mount Kenya region, it remains intact, urging residents not to be swayed by government critics. Ruto was in Maua, Meru County. He spelled out some of the development projects his administration has undertaken in the region, pledging to continue meeting his pre-election pledges. Here's a recap from Abdiaziz Hashim.
On day 2 of his 5-day working tour of the Mount Kenya region. President William Ruto, Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki, Cabinet Secretaries and a host of leaders from the region pitched tent in Meru and Kirinyaga counties.
Nimekubali sasa muko na governor.
In Maua, Meru County.
Mimi nawauliza watu wa Meru, munasema tuendelee na kazi ama munataka tuletewe fitina na uchochezi na mambo ya upuzi?
The head of state told off critics who were accused of attempting to sabotage his relations with the people of the mountain.
Urafiki nimetengeneza na watu wa mulima. Ni urafiki ambayo tumetengeneza kwa miaka karibu 20. Hakuna mtu atakuja kuvunja urafiki ambaye mimi nimetengeneza na watu wa mulima. Na siwezi kukubali mtu yeyote kuja kati yetu.
The president maintained his bond with the region has been cemented over the years, highlighting various development projects he has implemented in the region.
Mimi nataka niwahakikishie, mimi si wazimu, na mimi si mjinga, na mimi si mlevi. Najua ni kina nani walinisaidia nikaunda hii serikali, na mimi nataka niwahakikishie tutatembea pamoja.
Nitakusaidia kazi, sitabishana na wewe kwa sababu kazi yangu sio kubishana na rais, kazi yangu ni kusaidia rais. Nisaidia rais.
Ruto assured the residents that the broad-based government seeks to include to end ethnic balkanization.
Peter Munya na rafiki yangu Franklin Mezeka Lentore, hawa viongozi wawili tayari wako na mazungumzo na mimi na tuko na kampango. Nyinyi tulizeni poli, mambo iko sawa sawa.
At the same time, he read the Riot Act to cartels within the Miraa sector.
Watu wa cartel ya Miraa, mina waambia mambo yao ni matatu. Mambo yao ni mangapi? Either wakome na cartel ya Miraa, ama mambo ya pili tuwapeleke jela, ama mambo ya tatu
Hii kwa sababu wewe ndiye amiri jeshi mkuu, delegate ya cartels ya Miraa, nitapita nao asubuhi na mapema.
Basi hiyo ya cartel ya hawa wa Miraa, bwana Deputy President, pita na wao. Niko na mtu sasa ananisaidia kibarua jameni. Nilikuwa nimehangaika sana.
He revealed he dismantled cartels in the coffee sector and ensured the farmers earn higher prices from the crop.
Ile bei ya kahawa ambayo ilikuwa shilingi 50, shilingi 60. Mwaka huu bei ya kahawa imefika between 110 shillings na 130 shillings. Kwa sababu wale walikuwa wanatusumbua tumewaondoa.
The president also laid the foundation stone at the Huduma Center and a market in Maua, inspected the Maua Sewerage Last Mile Connectivity Project, issued title deeds for Athwana area, Tigania West, inspected ongoing construction works at the Nkwene Power Substation, among other projects in Kirinyaga County. President William Ruto has directed his deputy, Professor Kithure Kindiki, to conduct a meeting with Merati and coffee farmers in the next 2 weeks, as he is expected to tour Nyandarua and Muranga tomorrow. Abdiaziz Hashim from Maua, Meru County.
From the bliss of new beginnings to the trials of commitment, this is a celebration of resilience, passion, and the power of togetherness. Join us as we unravel real-life stories, because every journey deserves to be cherished, for better, for worse, on KBC Channel 1.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Watu wanandoa, watu kwa karibia kashachumbiana, ametuana bado ndoa, umosambaratisha. Anatuambia kwamba tuseme hivi, Allah anasemaje? Anasema innal munafiqina fi ad-darki al-asfali minan nar wa lan tajida lahum nasira illa alladhina tabu wa aslahu. Yani wewe umefanya uovu, umefanya unafiki, pengine watu ni wanandoa wamekaa muda, wana miaka, mpaka wanawajukumua sambaratisha kwa unafiki wako, kwa uongo wako, kwa sumu yako. Alafu Allah anaelezea kwamba wasipotubia kama innal munafiqina fi darki al-asfali minan nar, watakuwa fi darki al-asfali minan nar, watakuwa katika kina cha chini cha ndani ya moto wa jahannam.
لقد صدق الله رسوله الرؤيا بالحق.
Welcome back, and apologies for that sound glitch that has already been rectified, and we're back on course. Now, 3 students from Oba Boys Boarding School in Homa Bay County died on the spot, while none others sustained various injuries following an early Wednesday road accident that occurred at the Sondukatito Road in Nyakach, Kisumu County. Now, separately, 2 students from Beta High School, also in Homa Bay County, are recuperating at the Homa Bay County Referral Hospital after they were hit by a private vehicle along the Mbita Sindo Road. Wycliffe Okech with the details.
From Oba Boys Boarding School in Homa Bay County lost their lives when the 14-seater matatu they were traveling in hit a stationary trailer along the busy Sondu Katito Road in Nyakach, Kisumu County.
I've lost my son, Benda Binutino Matete, class 7L. It's the darkest day to me I've ever seen in my life.
My boy is good. We thank God he's safe. Alikuwa amekaa nyuma. Tunauliza administration, why release the boys at 4 in the morning? Ni nini hiyo mlikuwa mna avoid hata kama ni breakfast, surely. But hata wenye hiyo gari, why a gari ya 14 passengers kubeba watoto 22 plus 3 adults?
Nyanza Region Traffic Enforcement Officer Peter Maina, while confirming the incident, said the conductor of the ill-fated matatu that belongs to Bestline Sacco also perished on the spot.
Most of these accidents ni vitu tunaweza avoid if only tunaweza badilisha attitude zetu kwa barabara. Ukiwa kwa barabara, ukiwa driver, ni vyema unaelewa kuwa huko peke yako, kuna watu wengine wanatumia hizo mabarabara.
9 other pupils sustained various injuries and were rushed to Nyabondo Mission Hospital for treatment. Maina cautioned motorists against recklessness, while at the same time calling on all road users to be vigilant.
Sana sana tukizingatia wakati hii ni wakati wa rush, sababu watoto ndio wanafuga shule. Kuna wale pengine PSV operators wanakimbia sababu wanajua kuna wingi ya watu. Lakini hata kama ni kutafuta, ni vyema waelewe kutafuta wakati tunamwaga damu ya wanadamu inamwagika, hata wao hakuna amani itawapatia.
Elsewhere, 2 students from Beta High School, also in Homa Bay County, are among 4 pedestrians who were hit by a private vehicle said to have suffered mechanical challenges along Beta Sindo Road. They were transferred to Homa Bay County Teaching and Referral Hospital for specialized care after initial medical attention at Beta Sub-County Hospital.
A wish, Tata Wish, car black in color, with 2 occupants who seemingly were drunk because we found alcohol in their vehicle, hit the boys, 2 of them, from the back.
Of the 4, there is one who is a bit who sustained serious injuries and currently is admitted in Ward 1, the surgical ward. And as we talk now, is actually at the CT scan center there. He's doing CT scan, awaiting further guidance and review by the surgeons.
Motorists and other road users are being urged to exercise caution on the road, especially now when schools are closing for the April holiday.
Just a quick reminder to be more careful on the roads as a road user, whether a pedestrian or a motorist there. Remember, a majority of those road accidents, over 90%, is caused by human error, and we cannot allow, or rather continue, losing the many number of souls that we are on our roads. These are young lives, that their lives were cut short in a very brutal and gruesome manner. May their souls rest in peace. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has announced major measures in a review of National Police Reserve operations to enhance community policing in Elgeyo Marakwet, Tiaty, and Loruk. Now, meanwhile, Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has also raised concern over the increased influx of refugees from South Sudan.
Minister for Interior, welcome to the House of Parliament.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, while addressing the National Assembly Wednesday, stated that the government is committed to recruiting NPR personnel within affected communities to work with regular police officers to restore peace in troubled regions, including Elgeyo Marakwet, Tiaty, and Loruk.
We have a problem, Mr. Speaker, with our NPR there. Their mode of operation is wanting. The people who have been recruited are wanting. Mr. Speaker, we are going to do a massive review. We will perhaps remove all of the NPR officers who are there so that we can have room to hire better NPR officers who can work together with the police officers to get rid of those problems.
Murkomen was hard-pressed to indicate the timeline for a comprehensive disarmament exercise in banditry-prone areas.
What is the government doing, Mr. Speaker? Because even the military who are there, they are not helping us. We have thousands of GSU officers. We have thousands of police officers who are there. They are not helping. We are not seeing, we are just seeing a very little difference.
We are in the process of procuring drones, Mr. Speaker, that will be used for surveillance. We have realized that, Mr. Speaker, where drones have been used, especially in Laikipia, there has been great success. And we are going also to make sure that they will have night vision so that we can do proper surveillance. We have realized, Mr. Speaker, a new phenomenon this year, where the bandits are now attacking people at night. In the past, they would come during the day.
MPs demanded accountability and transparency amid concerns over claims of the death of a local chief at the hands of an NPR.
That chief was killed by security agencies, NPR, from a neighboring community. And that might cause a spillover or a ripple effect in terms of retaliation and so on and so forth. Because you know that enclave, Honorable Speaker, is very insecure and sensitive. And I'm sure the minister knows that. I want the minister to be able to clarify whether he arrested people, so that even the people in Chemolingot, as we speak now, who are watching, can be able to listen to the minister addressing the most current issues.
There is an investigation that is ongoing to establish, was the chief really killed by bandits, or was it a case of a police officer or police reservist, as had been alleged, who shot the chief. That investigation, DCI officers from Nairobi were sent to the ground. I have requested, as I went there, the IG to make sure that these investigations are expedited, because we do not want the peace between the two constituencies to be jeopardized by retaliatory acts.
Meanwhile, in a separate appearance before the Senate, Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi highlighted the worsening refugee crisis along Kenyan borders.
Even as we speak, the situation in South Sudan is getting worse. And we are beginning to see again another inflow at the rate of about 20 refugees per day. So we are beginning to see certain circumstances that are giving us challenges.
Now, from that roundup on matters security, we delve into matters business, where the Department of Irrigation plans to put up over 500 acres of land in Lari constituency, Kiambu, under irrigation using water from the Getamayo River. Principal Secretary Ephantus Kimotho revealed that the 316 million shillings project will benefit more than 1,500 residents. He urged farmers to form irrigation water associations to ensure efficient water management.
Kenya aims to expand its irrigated land from the current 776,000 acres to 1.2 million acres by 2027, leveraging large dams and household and community water harvesting programs. To support this goal, Irrigation Principal Secretary Ephantus Kimotho has announced plans to develop 500 acres of farmland sourced from the Getamayo River in Lari constituency, Kiambu County.
There's a possibility of even doing more in case we end up doing a dam. But for now, from the engineer's estimate, from the water that we're extracting, which is approximately 8.6 million per day, we should be able to do at least 500 acres comfortably.
Within the area, you'll find that there is no farming that is going on, either in terms of growing crops or even keeping cattle.
During an inspection of water retention areas in Kinare and Kireita Forest, PS Kimotho highlighted that the project will feature a gravity-fed pipe sprinkler system, aligning with the ministry's effort to enhance food security. He emphasized the importance of farmers forming irrigation water associations to optimize the use of water resources.
Farmers have also committed to forming an irrigation water use association so that they can also be paying operational and maintenance fee, so that we can ensure once the project is complete, it's going to be sustainable.
Well, that effectively brings in the headlines to a close. As we discuss the stories that have been making headlines, we are also going to be keeping tabs on the outcomes of the ongoing president's tour, and also on the regional front. I think the whole globe is watching the United States with the new tariffs that are expected to be announced by Donald Trump, and the ripple effect it's going to have on global business. We're also keeping tabs on South Africa, with now a trend that has been, a hashtag that has been trending for the last 4 or 5 days, and this is justice for Twetwe. This is a 7-year-old girl who was
defiled by a 70-year-old man that is a principal to her school that has brought South Africa to a standstill. Demonstrations are still ongoing. Even some airlines have had to reschedule some of their flights. We're just going to be keeping tabs on that from a regional or international focus at a time that also Kenya is grappling with a heightened number of gender-based violence cases, more so femicide. So that is what we're going to be keeping tabs on, but not limited to. So do keep it right here. Remember, Entertainment Thursday. Thursday is the new Friday. I wish you a pleasant day ahead. I'm Regina Manyara.
Seems like the DJ has set the pace for the entertainment segment of the show. Before we get to that, let me look at what is happening in our local dailies quickly. Who'll blink fast? The Standard, that is what the Standard is saying. Who'll blink fast? Former CS Justin Muturi has taken on President William Ruto, accusing him of refusing to address abductions in the cabinet and instead kicking him out for demanding answers. Muturi, who remained unbowed, placed the kidnappings at Ruto's doorstep, saying he will not be silenced. He claimed Ruto lied after the president said Muturi sacked himself when he absconded cabinet meetings. Read that story on page 5 of the Standard newspaper. The Daily Nation is saying, I'm the king of the mountain. Head of state seeking to win back support of populace, a region that swept him to power in 2022 poll race. President William Ruto says he does not need any political brokers to ascend the slippery but vote-rich Mount Kenya region, brushing off the acrimonious falling out with his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua as inconsequential in his decades-long ties and friendship with local residents. Mr. Gachagua has previously declared himself the region's political kingpin and vowed to make his former boss a one-term president. That story is told on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. On the front page of the Star newspaper, nothing for projects as pay gobbles up billions. Only 11 counties comply with 35% wage bill ceiling, and 16 exceed 50%. That is what is captured on our local dailies. You can grab your favorite copy and read those stories in detail. Right about now, we get into matters youth and governance. This is a segment that we address matters to do with the youth. And today we are looking at Kenya's future. The youth and Kenya's future. Have they been used as just a voting bloc? Or do they really have real political influence? In studio, I'm joined by Onywari Nyamari Frank, who is an advocate of the High Court. Welcome to the program, Wakili.
Thank you.
And also Minishi Gerald, who is a political analyst. Karibu sana.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And also Alo Denish. I've pronounced that right.
Yes.
He's a youth leader and a political analyst. Now, let's get into this conversation, gentlemen. You know, Kenyan population is young. But then again, there's the aspect of being included in governance structures. But the first question is, are the youth facing or are they participating in shaping the future of the country? I'll start with you, Alo.
Okay, thank you very much. And actually, it's an honor to be here to discuss this crucial topic, youth and the Kenya's future.
Yes.
We are aware statistically that youths make up to 75% of the Kenya's population.
Yeah.
While that is true, We also are facing the fact that majority of the youths are still struggling with the unemployment, with the lack of access to funding, and with the exclusion in government or policy or decision-making table. And you can see out of the 75% of the Kenyan youth, less than 7%, for example, are there in the elective positions. That really begs the question that are youth really included in the decision-making process, and are they part of the economic transformation that we are looking forward to? Being the largest population, I can say that we can't ignore the youths, because we are the backbone of innovation. We are the backbone of economic growth, and actually we are the backbone of social transformation. It's high time that the Kenyan government, the private sectors, take a keen interest into ensuring that the youth are really included, because if we build the youth today, we are building the Kenyan future. If we ignore the youth, we are ignoring the future of Kenya tomorrow. That is what I can say. As far as I'm concerned, there are tremendous steps that have been taken into consideration to ensure that youth are involved, but so far, not so good.
Okay.
Yes.
Minishi, are the youth participating fully in this, or are they being sidelined?
Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be here. First of all, I would like to highlight the fact that the social contact between the government and the people has broken down. There is a decline in public trust. There is no longer that trust between, especially the youth, as my colleague Alo has alluded, we form the majority part of the country, not just in Kenya, but I think even in Africa, we contribute a lot in terms of demographic statistics. Now, whether the youth participate in governance or not is a question that I think I've talked about it several times on air. Is on two important issues. Number one, socioeconomic issues, and number two, political. But on socioeconomic issues, we have the issues about civic education and poverty. If we go back in retrospect, what happened in June 2024, it was not something that came out of the blues. These are some of the issues with poverty and employment crisis in Kenya. There are some of the things that pushed Kenyans, especially the young people, to the streets, to demand for accountability and transparency from their government. I feel like there's still a gap in terms of accountability, and there's a gap between the ruling elites and the youth. And the public participation, has not been given that time, or has not been given that attention that is needed, so that at least maybe the youth can come to the table.
Hold that thought. We take a short break. We'll come back to continue with this conversation. Don't go too far. Then governance continues shortly.
Wiki hii kwenye mkulima,
watu wengi hususia kilimo kwa sababu ya uchafu, kuchoka na kubeba mizigo migumu shambani.
Ufugaji wa crickets, for example, it's not labor intensive. Ili shamba lote tunahitaji mtu mmoja peke yake. Na hata huyo mtu mmoja hafanyi kazi siku mzima. Hata hafanyi kazi zote kwa wiki.
Kisha
kazi ya kilimo ndio pesa mfukoni. Huyo kijana amesoma hapo na anasema ati kazi hii ni ya matope. Ajue pesa iko kwa mdogo.
Usikose kujumuika nami Francis Ngala siku ya Jumamosi saa 10:30 upate mseto kamili wa kilimo.
has been a rapid rise in the trends that are being carried out, especially when it comes to weight loss management across the country.
There's nothing wrong with chips, chapati. We are the problem. We consume them in copious amounts and we hope that they don't make us gain weight.
The program that we have is the Metabolic Balance, which is a similar program where it's designed a particular diet, and it goes on for about 6 to 8 weeks, and then you're going to maintenance phase.
There's a lot of shame, unfortunately, around weight loss procedures. And that is why many people are not open to say that I'm using this, I'm doing that. But the truth is now we are seeing them. I have clients who have gone through gastric procedures, surgical procedures.
We have been pioneering in these procedures, and we also offer certain weight loss programs which are trending, for example, the Ozempic pen.
Tasty breakfast just for you. Enjoy.
How special is this Dan of yours?
Niaje madhe, nilijua kuna something fishy na hapa.
Nini na mimi sijui?
Nikupin. Hizi mapepa zote, kanairo yote.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nilikuachia hii kazi ukaanza kuichezea.
Can we talk privately? What's wrong? Somebody's dead. I know, people die.
Jua hii, damu itakuwa kwa mikono yetu.
Wacha waende wamtupe huko kwa bahari.
Morning, madam.
Biblia inasema an eye for an eye. Hakuna mtu atajua amekufa.
Who is dead?
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. This is Entertainment Thursday Youth and Governance segment, and we are talking about the youth and the future of Kenya. Wakili, I want to rope you in on this discussion, and I want to hear your voice. Do the youth have real political influence right now?
Yes, thank you very much, first of all, for this opportunity to once again come and address issues to do with the nation and the youth. In answering your question, I want to say that from the experience of what we had in 2024 June, there is a political awakening as far as the youth of this country are concerned. This was orchestrated by the kind of anger that was being displayed by the political class.
Yes.
There is a type of arrogance that was being showcased by the political class. I will not want to mention specific political leaders, but it is trite evidence and fact that those leaders were so arrogant and they forgot the fact that Kenyans, citizens, youth making up the bigger percentage are the employers. And therefore, given the trend, or rather the wave of political activities in this country, I must say that and appreciate the fact that the youths have been awakened, the youths have been made to be alive to the facts that are happening around them. The youths have become aware that political decisions or political leaders influence their lives in a very, very serious manner. Given that whatever economic activities that take place within the country, all that has to be influenced by the political class. So it is up to them, and that is what has been settled in their minds, that if they do not come out and vote, and vote rightly, then the future will be dark.
Yes.
Yes.
Minishi, there are conversations that happen online.
Yeah.
But that is online. When it comes to real issues, do you think those conversations can effect meaningful change?
I think I can give an opinion which is contrary to popular belief. We are still, I think we need to address the real issue here. First of all, the issue about civic education. It's not about Yes, granted, we want youth in those leadership spaces in governance and politics.
Yes.
However, the question still remains, what kind of youth are we sending there? Do we have youth whom we can trust? Question number 2, the issue about civic education. We are in a situation where you find this political class, they are taking advantage of ignorant Kenyans. Most Kenyans, they don't have civic education, respectfully speaking. And so that's why you find even when we come to campaigning periods, and it's very sad because most leaders focus so much on next election as opposed to next generation. So when we come near to elections, most youth, they easily become sellouts, you know. When they are given some handouts, you know, they can easily turn aside their allegiance to certain political individuals. So number 1, the issue about civic education is very important. Number 2, the reason why also, as my colleague lawyer Wia said, the reason why also we are having this anger among Kenyans is also because of the poor leadership. Poor leadership is a factor here in Kenya. We have leaders who are arrogant, as my colleague here alluded. And also, number 2, we need to settle also the issue about poverty and unemployment. Because poverty and unemployment is what most youth, you know, it has pushed most youth to the corner, even to compromise their integrity and self-dignity. So if we don't address even these underlying issues, even if Kenya elects 70% youth in parliament or in Senate, they will still compromise because we have not addressed the underlying issues, what is affecting Kenya right now, because there's a problem of ethnopolitics and this problem needs to be rooted out. Thank you.
Okay, be that as it may. Hello, do you think, even as we are talking about the future of the country, do you think the youth offer alternative leadership?
Right. You see, now we always say that politics is where the ideals of the society meet the realities of power.
Yeah.
Just as my colleagues have alluded, there is one aspect of presenting idealism during campaign and facing reality after elections. And that is the greatest change that, the greatest challenge that we have. I want to say that youths, yes, would offer alternative governance because they are vibrant, they're energetic, they can challenge the status quo and come up with new innovations and new forms of governance. But that one thing I have to say, that let us face the reality first. Over time, youths have been always tools for accession to power, and youths have been subject of divide and rule. You realize that in most of our political rallies or during heated campaign sessions, you've never seen adults fighting, and you will never see them throwing stones or fighting opponents. It's the youths, and they're not fighting for fellow youths. They're fighting for aged politicians. And I think if we should learn from the past, if we can glean lessons from the echoes of the past, we've had enough to be able to learn that enough is enough. We cannot continue being subjects of or tools of accession to power. We need to take active roles. And the first step for youth is let us have behavioral change in our DNA. Let us mean the ideals we present. Let us actually mean the values we are fighting for, and so that we can be united. We cannot be used by politicians to pursue their political interest. So youths, yes, will offer alternative governments, and the only thing we need to do, I've said previously that out of the 75% population of youth, less than 7% in elective positions. What does that mean? Youths need to actually engage in policy, government and governance. They should take part in public forums, they should vote, and they should actually participate or run for elective positions. And these ones will lead us even to asking very, very tough questions.
Yes.
We've had, for example, a gender issue for a long time, and then the new constitution, in the wisdom of the people formulated it, saw it wise that they should have included women representatives.
Yes.
The aim of this was to actually ensure that we at least strive to achieving gender balance. If it cannot happen because of lack of funds, because political rhetorics in Kenya involve funds, and heavy funds for that matter, which majority of youth cannot afford, we will ask tough questions like, should we have youth quota in the elective politics? should we have youth representatives formally elected to parliament, so that whether or not they are having funds or not, the position is reserved for them.
Yeah.
We will need to ask tough questions. We will need to actually ask the space of youth in the society, and we will need to actually strive to secure our positions, come what may. Yes.
You know, Wakili, last week, there's something we mentioned in our conversation, the youth having unity of purpose. But then again, there is the aspect of a mind shift. How do you think, as we look into the future, do you think needs to happen in changing mind shifts and achieve this unity of purpose?
Let me take you back on the question that you asked previously, whether the youths can actually make a voting bloc. As far as the future, and in this respect, the 2027 elections are concerned.
Yes.
First of all, I want to present to you, because the best way to understand this question is to look at what has been done by those who have been there before. We have seen the leadership of Honorable Babu Owino. We have seen the leadership of Honorable Paul from the MP from Igambangombe. We have seen Paul Mwirigi, yes. We have seen the leadership of Naisula Lensuda. We have seen the leadership of even the SG of Nairobi, although he is now above the age, but at the time he was a youth.
Yes.
Honorable Sifuna. We have seen how vibrant these people are and how articulate they have become in terms of delivering service to the people. So yes, the question is, the answer to your question is yes. Youths can offer alternative governance and better governance all together compared to the old chaps that we have in government today. Now going forward, we say that youths have a tool within their hands that they need to use, and this tool is very powerful. This tool is the numbers. Youths are many. In fact, my colleague has alluded the fact that 70% or 75% of the Kenyan population is made up of youths. And it is upon them to actually go and take the voting card, so that by 2027, everybody is ready. Now, to answer you, you have alluded to the fact that there is a shift of away from the unity of purpose that we discussed last week. The question is, what is the cause of that shift?
The nini is in terms of shift, changing the mindset to have a unity of purpose.
Yes.
Yes.
So what is the cause that is making these youths to be able to change their mindset? First, as my friends have alluded here, it is poverty. Secondly, it is that poverty that is being caused by lack of jobs. A significant percentage of youths in this country are jobless, yet they are graduates. Myself, I am an advocate, but you see, I cannot be employed in the government. But I'm out there trying to do what? To earn. So there is a challenge which cuts across, and that challenge is purely poverty. That if we change the political class, or rather this political class comes to the youths and they look at them, they just use that poverty as the tool to make them change their mindsets. So if the youths can come out of that cocoon and say that we are united, we have a purpose, we are focused, and this is our aim, they will be able to even elect one of their own come 2027. So my aspiration as a young person is that let us not lose focus. The Constitution has opened a lot of doors for us. I talked about Article 38, which gives us political rights. I alluded to the Article 90 and Article 98, which speaks about youth representation in Parliament. And the numbers they are wanting, given the population that we are in Kenya. For example, when it comes to representation of the youths in the Senate, we are only having 2 youths against a population of over 35 million youths. That is one thing. Article 55 bestows upon the state the responsibility of ensuring that youths are accorded equal opportunities, including governance.
Yes.
That has not been actualized. In fact, we fault the government for failing to create these avenues for the youth. But the question goes down to individual persons. what do we want as youths?
Exactly.
We want a change. We want a better representation. We want service delivery. We want jobs. If that is not attained, then we have work to do. And it's only up until we make a decision to be focused, that is when we will make things change in this country.
Indeed. And Minishi, you know, one of the things that is coming out from this conversation is socioeconomic issues. So does the youth have to wait for the government to address them, or it's going to be a concerted effort between them and the government to address these issues if we are looking at the future?
Thank you, Mike. I think it's a kind of, honestly speaking, the government can't make you rich, or the government can't solve all the problems of the people. However, there needs to be a partnership between, a kind of a partnership between the people and the government. Now, where the government comes in is in terms of policies. As I think some of my colleagues have alluded several times, these policies affect businesses, small medium enterprises, you know, from the top to the bottom. So we are having, you know, the lack of responsibility from the government side in terms of accountability and transparency, in terms of formulating policies which enable the market, you know, friendly market policies, you know, government policies that, you know, can help business to thrive.
Yes.
A good working business environment. Another thing is that government also needs to provide incentives. You know, you realize that most youth, they have so many big ideas, you know. If you compare, for example, our country, Kenya, not just Kenya, but in Africa, with the developed world, you realize that the developed world supports so much startups and so much ideas, you know, which ideas especially which are transformative, which have a social impact. But here in Kenya, we find there's that gap. We are still struggling. Yes, the government can solve all the problems for the people, but the government can step in terms of policies, in terms of offering also grants, small grants to farmers, to people, you know, to the SMEs. It can be very important. It can help to boost the economy. However, there's also a responsibility of the people. And I think also that's an area that we need also to focus so much, because if you look at our social media platforms, we are so much hypercritical about our government. Yes, granted, I know we want accountability. I know our leaders have failed us. However, there is an aspect that even as youth, we need to be accountable for our actions. I've realized that in our generation, we are very, most of our youth, you know, we are very careless. Yes, not careless in terms of laziness or laziness and all that. No, careless in terms of we don't want to take responsibility where it needs to be taken. Yeah, that's an area of consideration.
Alo, he has raised a very important issue, the aspect of accountability. You know, is it that we only want to hold leaders accountable as a people, but we do not want to take accountability on ourselves?
I really want to disagree and agree to some extent. First of all, you only become accountable for what you're doing. And being that most youths are not in power, that is, the people in power are the ones to be held accountable. Now, the challenge is, are youths doing their part? Are youths taking part in public politics? Do they vote? That is the first place. Do they engage in public forums? And do the youth run for elective positions? We may blame youth to that extent, but let us also face the reality. One of the key challenges we have in the Kenyan politics is, first of all, high cost of political campaigns, which most youths can't afford. We have that misrepresentation. We have voter apathy. Majority of the Kenyan youth, leave alone this previous awakening, they were feeling disconnected from the Kenyan politician. They were feeling not misrepresented. And you realize majority of them sometimes didn't turn out to vote. So there is that concept of voter apathy, that exclusion. So one thing I can challenge the youths, we have the numbers, we have the ability, we have the tool that is the voting capacity, and therefore we can change this narrative. What has been, again, a problem in the past is the lack of accountability, is the ethnic politics. Recently, you saw when there was Gen Z revolution, all youths came out together. just as we speak currently, they are closely again regrouping into political parties that are ethnic based. If somebody go to Nyanza, for example, you will not see a Gen Z there. You will see Nyanza people are supporting so and so. If somebody goes to Central, you forget about the Gen Z again. Because if there is somebody the Central people are against, for example, they are all against that person regardless of the age brackets. So it means that youths have also been subdued in this ethnic factor, that towards the voting, we all forget about that we are youths, we can be united and we can speak in one voice and elect the people we want. We regroup ourselves into ethnic cocoons and support people based on not based on merit or their capacity to be good leaders, but based on their ethnic extractions. And this has been the greatest downfall of youths, because how comes we are the majority, we are the 75%, yet at the very tail end of the election, we claim we are misrepresented.
Yeah.
Why? We are misrepresented because at the time of voting, we forget about the youth factor. We forget about the ideals which we fought for. And we regroup ourselves into ethnic extractions and vote for people based on ethnic lines. And this is also a narrative that needs to change. While we blame maybe the government or whoever, we should ask ourselves, have we done our part to the fullest?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Wakili, beyond voting, is there another way that the youth can change the governance of Kenya?
Once again, thank you. In looking at the political and leadership landscape in our country, we cannot ignore the fact that we need proper representation.
Yeah.
We can also not ignore the fact that there is a rotten cocoon within government which is making lives of many Kenyans, a good percentage of them being the youths, erratic. So we have to come to the reality that the only channel that we have to change the things which are happening in place is by going into political leadership and grabbing those positions and putting in policies that will favor our aspirations as young people. There is also an aspect or an angle from which the youths can influence the decisions that are being made in parliament. We have seen youths being very innovative. We have seen youths being very aggressive in terms of innovation, sport, and so many other activities. If they are given an opportunity to be able to be in those positions, they will be able to change the leadership of this country. And I say that because I'm even wondering, who is the CS for sports in this country? It's an old man. I don't want to mention his name, but you know him. And that's what I'm talking about. But who are the athletes in this country? The young people. So what is the nexus between an old man overseeing the effects or rather the aspirations of young people?
Yeah.
And I also gave another example here, I think last week, that who are the youth representatives in parliament? In fact, it is crazy that in this country we will even elect, or rather parties will nominate an old person to go to parliament and represent the youth agenda. Very insane. So the chance is there and the structures are there. However, those things have not been given to the youths.
Okay.
And it is my aspiration or call to the youth that it is time to go for them.
Okay.
I used to think that youths are not vying up until I got myself into active politics. And I realized a lot of those youths are actually vying. But there is this cocoon or this mentality that our leader is this old man with a big stomach, probably with a car and some 3-4 wives somewhere, and has got one corruption scandal which makes him rich. And that is what the society thinks, and that is what needs to change.
Okay, all right. Now, we have 2 minutes. I want to hear the way forward from the three of you, and I'll start with you, Manishi.
Final words?
Yes.
Okay, in my humble submission, I will say that I will finish with a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. He said that if you can't be a pine on the top of the hill, be a little scrub on the side of the valley. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of wherever you are. He went ahead to say that if you can't do great things, then do small things in a great way. This is what I can say. My dear brothers and sisters, I think we have the opportunity to turn around the situation in our country. If only we can commit ourselves and give ourselves 100% to it. To our youth, let us not faint in doing good. To our youth, let us not allow politicians, to divide us. Let us remain grounded and let us take this country forward. Thank you.
Ogili.
Yes, I have actually struggled to understand what my good friend was saying. But in my closing remarks, I will say that the opportunity is there. The Constitution has given us an avenue. Article 38 has accorded us all political rights to form or be part of or participate in forming political parties.
Yes.
Article 55 has given the state the responsibility of taking actions, including affirmative actions, to ensure that youths are well represented. Article 98, Article 90, they have all given the youths in this country an avenue to actually go and be part of the political leaders. So it is upon the youths, and I said that we have the numbers, it's upon the youths to actually come out, register as voters, go to the ballot, identify one of their own. Let us not be enemies of ourselves. Let us not be enemies of ourselves. There is no reason as to why I should not vote for my brother if he has the strength to vie and convinces me that his ideas are ideas that mirror our aspirations as young men.
Yes.
So we have the numbers, we have the tool within our hands. We have to come out, go and vote. And we should not also allow the devil to come and divide us in terms of ethnicity and other things.
All right.
Yes.
Hello.
Talk of the devil. Okay, to me, to the Kenyan youth, Kenya's future is in our hands, and Kenya's future is both political, economic, and social. So let us not limit it first only to political issues. And so we have the numbers, we have the creativity, and we have the resilience to drive change. What we need as Kenyan youth actually is action. Action from government to create an enabling environment and youth-favorable policies. Action from the private sectors, actually to absorb more youths and give support to youth startups. And action, which is the most important, from ourselves as youth to take actions. I look forward to the time when we will stop this discussion and actually take a bold steps in making this change actually a reality. And then to the government, if we are talking about the Kenyan's future, if you forget about empowering the youth today, you are forgetting about empowering, changing Kenyan's future. Let us look it that way. Let us empower the Kenyan youth. Let us give them opportunities that can really help us build our future together. And that time is not any other time. That time is now.
Yes.
Thank
you. Thank you so much. We'll continue having these conversations right here on Youth Governance segment, or every Thursday on Entertainment Thursday. Gentlemen, I thank you for your time. That is Alo Dennis, who is a political analyst and a youth leader, and also Wakili Frank Nyamari, who is an advocate of the High Court, and Minishi Gerald, who is a political analyst. This is where we put a full stop to this conversation. Don't go too far. I'll be back with yet another conversation centering around Kenya's contribution into the agricultural journalism and the upcoming Congress of International Federation of Agricultural Journalists. Stay tuned. Thursday. My name is Mike Migui. We move yet to another conversation that is about agricultural journalism, policy and innovation, given that Kenya is preparing to host the International Federation of Agricultural Journalists Congress for the first time in history. And in studio, I'm joined by Steve Wablo, who is the president of International Federation of Agricultural Journalists. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mike.
And also Agan Daniel, who is the secretary of Media for Environment and Science Agriculture. Welcome.
Thank you, Mike.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Now, let me start with you, Wablo. Why Kenya?
Kenya is really exciting for us. There's so much agriculture here. There's so much innovation. It's such a hub for research and I guess entrepreneurship. And so to be able to bring our group for the first time to East Africa is exciting from a journalist perspective. It's exciting from a chance to look at agriculture, and it's especially exciting for our African colleagues. We have 60 countries represented in IFAJ. Many of them are in Africa, and to be able to bring our African colleagues to a country where the visa requirements are open, it's accessible, they can bring home stories to their farmers and their policy people is especially exciting to us, as well as bringing the rest of the world here to see the kinds of innovation and agricultural diversity there is in Kenya.
Yes. Daniel, agriculture contributes greatly to the nation's GDP, and this year's Congress will have a special emphasis on tea and flowers. Why?
Okay, thank you. I mean, let's look at it in terms of the rural versus urban agriculture in Kenya. And I would tell you that about 70% of our people who participate in farming are from the rural areas. And if you look at tea, you look at coffee, you look at those kind of crops, this is where our lifeline actually stands. So it's important that this comes into perspective, and given the fact that wherever you go, people would want to taste the Kenyan tea.
Yes.
You know, when you are just within the country, you might not know how much sweet our tea is. But just get outside the borders, just cross the borders, and then you realize that our tea really means a lot to a lot of people in the world. It's also important to realize that over 40% of our people from who do not stay in rural areas actually depend on agriculture. And so it's important that this story is told in a way that we put into perspective issues of tea, issues of coffee, and issues of crops that are really, really important in the export realm. So basically that makes a great conversation to a lot of people. We've had inquiries about people saying, we hope that when we come to Kenya, we are going to visit tea farms. Many times we take those tea farms for granted, but there are a lot of people who would, just want to say, how is this tea grown? Where is it? How? I mean, what are some of the challenges? Will Kenya still be growing tea 50 years down the line? Yeah.
And when you talk about agricultural journalism, and matters to do with agriculture, we're talking production, markets, and everything. So how does it help in shaping these innovations and policy? Steve?
So agricultural journalists play an important role in terms of being a conduit for knowledge transfer to the field, right? Farmers, whether they're hearing it on broadcast, whether they're reading it in a magazine or a newspaper, whether now they're getting it through digital media, they need this information. They need to know, how do I do a better job? How do I adapt to a changing climate? How do I produce more profitably so that I can be both economically sustainable as well as environmentally sustainable? But the other direction that information flows through agricultural journalists is up from the field. So policymakers, consumers, research organizations can set their agendas and understand how their decisions and how their policies, et cetera, are affecting people in the field. So it's a two-way conduit that I think really enhances the idea of innovation and I hope inspires people to innovate.
Daniel, what about the perception of the rural life? Does it contribute to that? Changing in perception?
In terms of?
In terms of, now we are looking at agricultural journalism, and
Yes.
agriculture does not happen in towns.
That's true.
And there's perception of rural life and urban life.
Yeah.
Where does the agricultural journalism play? How does it enhance or change of perception about rural life?
Yeah, yeah. I guess in Kenya, most of the times when somebody calls you shamba, so to speak, they think that it is this thing that is actually not on vogue.
Yeah.
They think that, you know, there's a little bit of some backwardness or that kind of stuff. But I want to tell you that without the rural economy, agriculture would not survive in a country like Kenya. As I said, 70% of the rural man or the rural woman is involved in agriculture. And for that reason, even issues of land are becoming very sensitive. Why so? It's given the fact that we get a lot of our farming activities in the rural areas. And even if you look at Nairobi, for example, a lot of people are now moving away from the city center to go and stay away from the city center so that they do farming. Early in the morning, you know, places that people never thought that people would be staying in. They're moving more into the rural area so that they can also do farming. And agriculture is becoming more important than it was when we were younger. So the perception is that if you really want to make it big, then you have to look for land in far-flung areas away from the big cities.
Yeah. Steve, do you think the way the media takes agricultural stories, do they tend to take a back burner as opposed to more sensational stories?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, Mike, because we face that through IFAJ. We hear that from our colleagues quite a lot. You know, oh, my editor, my program manager isn't interested in agricultural stories. And one of the things we're really trying to emphasize in the agricultural journalism community is that agricultural stories touch all kinds of themes. So it's not just how do you grow more tomatoes, or, you know, how do you protect a tea crop from a particular pest or disease. It's also, where's your food come from? You know, what's the food culture? What are the foodways here? What's the effective policy on the ground? What's the economic impact of agriculture? How do changing trade relationships affect farmers? How do farmers affect those trade relationships? So agricultural journalism touches so many elements of things that so many elements that people both in the countryside and in the city are actually really tied to, and we're really trying to create a recognition that agricultural journalism touches so many different pages in the newspaper or segments on television or spots on radio that, you know, it's integral to every aspect of a country.
Daniel, what about the aspect of that most media outlets take a commercial aspect? Has that really contributed to agricultural stories taking a backseat?
Mike, perhaps you wanted to say that most of our media are actually big on politics, you know. Yeah, and of course, I mean, as a journalist, you know that your story will get spiked if there's a commercial that comes in.
Yeah.
So the commercials also help run the stations and, you know, that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you that when we are looking at agricultural stories, then agricultural stories are also actually intertwined with business stories, because there's no single agricultural story that you'll do that does not have the business element of it. And again, there is no single agriculture story that you will do that is isolated from issues of policy and even issues of innovation. These things are so much intertwined that many times people, you know, think that when you do an agricultural story, actually you are doing, you know, like a complete, a complete story that you're telling. And I would also let you know that agricultural stories are becoming more interesting, given the fact that we are now able, you know, to look at things that are coming up that were not there before. For example, you know, what kind of forms do we tell our stories to ensure that you know, you tantalize that politician, you tantalize that commercial person who would like to see a reflection of their work in the stories that we do. So I think that with the kind of competence that we have around here in Kenya, and actually the reason that the International Federation of Agricultural Journalists looked at the competence in which our journalists do cover agricultural stories. They know that agriculture is being given space in the media, and the space that is being given is just not enough. And so it's incumbent upon us as journalists to ensure that we tell those stories that would ensure that the commercials actually do not, you know, elbow us away from the scene. They don't take our space, and neither do they take our, you know, role in terms of the stories that we actually tell.
Still on you, Daniel. You know, the correlation between agricultural stories and climate change. Talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, basically, when you look at agriculture, which happens in an environment which is being impacted by climate change, then you need to look at, I come from a seed sector in terms of my communication, and the seed sector itself has been really impacted on by climate change. So that basically means that scientists, particularly here in Kenya, are now working on what we call climate smart crops. Because we like it, we don't like it, climate change is here with us, and it's affecting us every day, and so we need to be ahead of the changes that the negative changes that climate is having on our agricultural systems. And so a lot of work is being done here in Kenya, and Steve alluded to it, that if you look at Nairobi alone, the enormous number of research institutes that are trying to work towards ensuring that Africa is fed is big. And they're doing such wonderful work. What we realized this week when we're talking to a lot of organizations is that no single institution is doing their work without the element of addressing climate change.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, you know, as the president of IFAJ, what would you say are the biggest challenges that agricultural journalists face in covering agriculture, innovations, and policies on the same?
Sure. So, worldwide, whether you're talking about really well-resourced countries or countries with limited resources, we're looking at shrinking media. We're looking at media where not everybody is a trained journalist anymore. You can be your own media now online, and that means you can have really talented people coming into the media space with a lot of stories to tell and a lot of perspectives to share. But there's also a lot of misinformation or misunderstanding, perhaps even disinformation. That's a challenge. There's the resources it takes to get out into the countryside and report. I mean, we have colleagues in DRC, for instance, who physically can't get to the stories because it's too dangerous. There's also the issues of, you know, the cost, the resources it takes to be out in the field. There's what you referred to earlier, where, you know, agricultural stories don't necessarily get the space that they deserve or a share of the media voice. And so if you take that and a shrinking media, it they kind of add up to limited opportunities. So what we're trying to do is emphasize the standards of good journalism, emphasize great storytelling, and that's one of the things IFAJ really tries to accomplish, is helping journalists get to the stories and then helping them learn and practice telling the stories better. You know, we share a lot of information with each other on best practices and stimulate that thinking that makes for better storytelling. And hopefully at the end of the day, that earns the space and the credibility that a professional storyteller, professional journalist can bring to its audiences.
Daniel, do we have journalists who are willing to take up agricultural stories?
Okay, before I answer that question, may I also just add one or two things about some of the challenges that journalists actually have in covering agricultural stories. we are still trying to bridge the gap between scientists, researchers, and journalists. Many times the researchers are a little bit shy to speak to journalists, and in instances where they come out to speak to us, one thing that is very common is the use of very technical language that the journalist might sometimes, miss. And that brings in a problem. There are also some little problems, petty problems, like I was misquoted and what have you, but that just speaks to, about issues of professionalism. So those are some challenges that we as the Media for Environment, Science, Health and Agriculture measure are really trying to, address, because your question is that, are there journalists who are just doing agriculture? If there were no journalists who are just doing agriculture, then the International Federation of Agricultural Journalists would not exist, because this is a team or a group of journalists who do nothing but write about agriculture. The Media for Environment, Science, Health and Agriculture is also an association of journalists who do agriculture, who specialize on agriculture, health, environment, and name it. And so there's a cadre of journalists who have dedicated themselves to just telling agricultural stories. What we really think needs to happen to this cadre of journalists is they need more training in the face of a lot of dynamics that we are currently experiencing. One of them being innovations. Now we are talking about AI. How would me, for example, as a specialist journalist, keep up with the pace of artificial intelligence? How would I keep up with the modern ways of telling stories? The other thing would be that this group of journalists also need to be facilitated, and they need to be motivated. Being a journalist, you know that it becomes very, very difficult for you maybe to survive without funding. And so the group of journalists who usually tell stories on agriculture usually have got that issue, that problem of who is there for us. Agriculture stories have to be told, and they have to be told using a lot of support. Doing a single agriculture story is not as easy as doing a single story from a political rally. It takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of research, a lot of soul searching, a lot of maneuvering with the scientists to get them to speak to you. You have to speak to the farmers so that you can tell the stories. So this is a very expensive affair. But as I said, there's a group of journalists who have just decided that to them, what matters is telling the agriculture stories. And Mike, for that reason, we are going to have the World Congress of Agricultural Journalists coming to Kenya, where we are going to speak agriculture. We are going to speak agriculture journalism. We are going to speak policies on agriculture. We are going to speak about innovation. We are going to speak about how do we partner to ensure that we tell the agriculture, the African agriculture story, and in our case, the Kenyan agriculture story, in a way that is compelling, in a way that is tantalizing, and in a way that can actually help bring in more investments into this country. Yep.
Now, Steve, what opportunities are we looking at once we get into this agricultural space and tell stories that farmers can relate to?
I would say there's immense gratification in going to a farm and hearing someone say, I read this story once that got me going on this crop, or I decided to start rotation or adopt conservation practices because of something I read in the media or I heard on the radio or I saw on television. So that is gratifying. I think on a macro level, opportunities are when agriculture succeeds, a culture succeeds, a country succeeds. Here in Kenya, you've got, as Agan said, 70% of the population engaged directly in agriculture. So a rising agricultural tide will lift a lot of boats. And even in countries like mine, in the US, where we have 2% of the population doing agriculture, rural communities depend on the success of those businesses. Urban communities that are moving those products, processing those products, there's a lot of jobs associated with it, and we all have to eat. I mean, 3 times a day, we have to say thank you, farmers, and tied to that is thank you to the people who are sharing the information, whether they're the journalists that are telling the stories, or the sources that trust us with the stories, the researchers, the suppliers of products and innovation, and ultimately the farmers who trust us to tell their stories.
How can journalists participate in this upcoming Congress?
They would be members of a national guild that's a member of IFAJ. So, for instance, they would be a member of MESHA, or any of our other 59 guilds around the world. And then they would be most welcome to be here in Nairobi in October to, as Agan said, share ideas, share innovations, network, and hear about all of the dynamic things that are happening here in Kenya.
Let me take your final words.
Yeah. Now, Mike, before maybe my final word is that how would journalists participate in this Congress, which Steve has articulated? But as I said, to him that much is given, much is also expected. I think this is an opportunity for organizations that occupy agriculture space in Kenya to sponsor, support journalists to attend this once-in-a-lifetime Congress. The Congress has been there for 58 years. It has only come to Africa twice. This is the third time that it is coming. So for every agriculture journalist, the people that they have been writing their stories about, this is the time now, it's payback time. The other thing I want to say as my parting shot is that agriculture is the present and the future of any country. And therefore, when it comes to communicating issues of agriculture, we need to stay there and tell those stories. Because if we don't tell them, and that's our work, that's our basic work as a journalist, if we don't tell those stories, nobody else will tell them. And for every agricultural story that you don't tell, or for every health story that you don't tell, you are not saving a life. That basically means for every agriculture story that you tell, for every health story that you tell, you are saving a life. The Congress brings in that opportunity to continue saving lives.
Okay. Steve, your final words.
Just that we as IFAJ are very eager and excited to be coming to Kenya. We'll be bringing 150 to 200 agricultural journalists from around the world together here. I think the energy is great. I think the welcome, I mean, the fact that every conversation starts with Caribou tells us something about Kenya. And we're delighted to be able to be here. We're looking forward to working with the journalists, the sponsors, the farmers, and really making this an unforgettable opportunity.
Thank you. Steve Webler, who is president of International Federation of Journalists, and also Agan Daniel, who is the Secretary of Media for Environment, Science and Agriculture, talking to us about agricultural journalism policy and innovation and the upcoming IFAJ Congress later in the year. This is where we end this conversation. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Mike Megwe. Vivian Ndegwa is up next with Entertainment Thursday. Stay with us.
Ima na wendo mwingi tugikuthokia Embu County, the land of opportunities. Kambunene ya Ngemi FM mushi worata.
Twigagure na kamwetha kama viumeto. Muroro kiande tukunye maire na murori tuthie thokore besa mivukore cha
manje makiyara uranje mure cietu cia thitima na ronje rwathagana nyamu cia kithaka igitugemeria bururi wetu wa mbere Embu County. Ngemi FM tikuo muno tukianirira na mugambo munene. Eno ni
Ngemi FM
musie wa urata.
Ino ni nyumba nene
kwa musie wa urata.
Ngemi FM 103.5.
Hello, nataka kuongea na
Halo halo, nataka kuongea na wasomi wenye busara, maskini na matajiri.
Alipopita mbele yao alisema, ona mwili mdogo, umeshikilia kichwa kubwa. Akajiuliza mbona akupe urembo kidogo, hata yeye atese vikubwa.
Nina, tuna, vina, vyakula vina ladha. Sote tuna alama bora. Na imetumikaje?
Umiliki.
Umilikaji. Mpige makofi.
Umu nchini Kenya, kupata kazini kwa kujuana. Si rahisi kupata kazi hivyo hivyo, hata kama uko na cheti vya masomo na umehitimu vizuri.
Mtu anaweza fungua kazi, ajira yake kupitia maarifa yale aliyopata kutoka chuo kikuu.
Wakati wa kuanguka nayo ni wakati wa kuipanga ikapanguliwa. Ni wakati gani?
Ukigusa biti na shtuka, naona kama napanda mizuka, na kichwani shanija chupa. Mr. LG, lazima irudiwe sababu nataka tena.
Nick the DJ, and we start off with our very first interview, and this is a good one. We have an artist who is Nigerian. His name is Zexi, and he's here to just tell us about his musical journey, you know, and just how far he's come as a musician to be where he is right now. He has one of the biggest songs. I'm sure you might know this song. He got to collaborate with our very own Sophia Nzawu, a song that has garnered up to 16+ million views on YouTube and millions of streams this far. Zexi, welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nawapenda, Kenya.
Yes.
I've been working on my Swahili, but it feels good to be here. My second time coming to Kenya. First time I came for a music video. We had collaborated with Sophia Nzawu. Came for the music video. It was awesome. Always warm in Kenya. I mean, the reception was great. Lovely people. We had a great time. We left, and then, you know, here we are again. I'm actually here for the East African Entertainment Awards. And then we decided to also shoot another music video here in Kenya, because I mean, Kenya is home to me, and anytime I'm here, the hospitality is always great, and I'm always eager to do stuff with people that I find here. So it's been great, it's been awesome, and thank you guys for holding it down for Africa all the time.
For sure, it's amazing to have you here. And I get intrigued by fashion. I love fashion. So your look is really doing the thing right now. Before we get into speaking about music, can you talk a bit about your look? You know, whatever you're having here, the things you have on your fingers, are those rings?
Yeah.
I love your shoes. You know, let's just talk about this look before we get.
Vivian, yeah, like you said, and I have, it's all about style. It's what you see in your mind, and you just in the way that you dress. So it first starts with how you see, you know, yourself in your mind, and then you try to present yourself like that. So when I have a picture of what I want to look like, I start to look for the accessories that will make me look that way. So the accessories are the raw materials that you finally put together to have a finished product. So for me, fashion has always been something I've been involved with right from when I was a kid. I always like to dress up and you know, look different from the crowd. So it's all about standing out for me and just, you know, being bold with your fashion statement. But at the same time, not too provocative, but at the same time, you have to, you know, make a statement whenever you step out.
It definitely does make a statement. And I think it's just something with Nigerians and fashion. It's a given. We have given it to you. You take the crown. You know, you and fashion as Nigerians, it's just a whole thing. I was saying, even when you attend funerals in Nigeria, you go showing.
We like to show out.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we give it to you. You take the crown. You know. All right, let's get into you as the Zexi the musician now, you started off quite early in your life. You know, you had that musical ear from a very early stage in your life. And then you went on to start off by doing jingles, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Just tell me about that journey and when you officially decided, okay, now I think it's time for me to start doing, you know, to do music full on and put my music out there for the world to listen.
Okay, so so when I was little, I had elder brothers who liked music so much, so they would play a lot of reggae music. So I would listen. As at that time, I wasn't so much into music because I felt like my elder brother likes playing loud music, and I felt like this guy just likes to disturb the house. But then I started to pick up on the music, started to like them. They started to become the soundtrack of my life as at that time. You know, sometimes when you're going through stuff, maybe you're not so happy and then they're playing a song on the radio or your elder brother is playing a tape, and you're just listening and then you're thinking with that music. So as you're growing up, anytime you hear that song, it brings back those memories. So I started to fall in love with music. I got into the choir, started singing. I was high-pitched, you know, tenor singer in the choir. And then after some time, I lost my singing voice. I had a condition called rhinitis. Did 2 nasal operations. It was crazy. Just trying to get back my voice because my voice as at that time became like my #1 weapon. When I go somewhere and I sing, people, you know, like me and all that. So when I lost that voice, it was so devastating. So I had to try to pick myself back up. So I started rapping because I couldn't sing anymore. I just couldn't let the music go. I started rapping and gradually my voice started coming back, started recovering my voice. And then I started doing jingles for companies because I needed to make some money and all that. But then eventually I got signed by Maple Grove Entertainment. And that was when we really like went full head on into like the professional side of being a musician. But yeah, I started writing music quite early because I started with poetry. After doing poetry for a while, I wanted to turn them into melodies. So I was trying to, you know, sometimes I'll write, I love you ×3. And I'll say, I love you. And it wasn't working. But one of those days in the bathroom, I just opened my mouth and I sang a song. And I was like, oh, that sounded like a real melody, not the I love you ×3 I've been doing. So, and then, you know, from there, I just got graduating into, you know, doing different genres of music. Because I listen to rock and roll, I listen to jazz music, I listen to Afrobeats, pop music, R&B, and I just allow all of these genres to influence me. I don't box myself in and say, oh, you know what, I'm from this country. If you teach me enough Swahili, I would do a song in Swahili, and I would do it like I'm Kenyan or I'm Tanzanian. So it's something that I just enjoy creativity, I enjoy writing, and I enjoy doing music.
That's amazing. I want to take you back to the time when you lost your voice, you know. I can imagine just how traumatizing that must have been because I mean, it's your voice and you love to, you know, we all love to use our voices and you as a singer, of course, must have been tragic. How long did that period, how long were you in that period where you lost your voice? And just maybe what are some of the lessons that you got to pick from that?
It was a valley that at some point I didn't know if I would get out of it. It took more than 10 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, nothing short of 15 years because, you know, it happened when I was, you know, still in high school. And then, you know, going from this guy who would sing in the choir, like all the females were scared of me then because my pitch was so high. So and then all of a sudden you just wake up one day and you don't have the voice anymore. You know, it started as, okay, maybe I'm having this nasal blockage, it's just catarrh, it was going to go. And then, you know, I kept on taking the normal antibiotics, it wasn't working. So it went on for so long that I had to start telling my dad, look, this thing is affecting my studies because in Nigeria, the only way to get your parents to pay attention to anything, if you tell them it affects your studies. Nobody wants to hear that you want to become a musician. So I used to tell my dad, man, this thing is affecting my studies. I can't concentrate. I was always complaining. So that was when we went to a doctor. And then he did the first operation. I came out even worse than I entered, because as at this time, they had meddled so much with all the inflammable things in my nose, you know, there was blood clots everywhere. So I couldn't even sing anymore. That healed, but then it still did not take away the nasal blockage. So after a couple of years, I went back to the hospital. It did another nasal operation. It still did not go. That was when I felt like, okay, I think I need to let go of singing. And then I started rapping, because my voice became so deep. So then I'll get rappers that had deep voice and then try to get them as my mentors, started to rap like them and all that, just to build my own thing. But to your question as to what I learned in that time, prior to me losing my voice, you know, it's like when Jesus Christ says Satan became very pompous. You know, when you go somewhere and you can sing so well, and then people just love you, people want to do things for you, you become very pompous. But what I learned in that valley was that, you know, whatever you have is a gift, and you should serve people with it and not lord over them.
I love that.
So I learned that lesson the hard way, going through all that, and I started to realize that, okay, so this is how people feel, because now I became so vulnerable. I became so open to attacks. The music was a shield and an armor. I mean, people can, even with criticisms, I never felt anything. So now that I don't have that armor anymore, the shots were coming right in. So I now understood how it felt for people on the other side when I just say things and throw shots, and I didn't know how they felt, because they probably didn't have the armor that I had. And then I started to tell myself that I needed to be a better person, and started to learn how to take, you know, hard criticisms this time, like in the face. But in all, also with the pitch that I started to get back, because every tone of voice has its own kind of sound. It's like when you have baritone, you want to sing like, maybe like, what's this guy's name? Barry White, you know, and then maybe if you have a softer tone, you want to sing like Usher, because his tone sounds like yours. So in that progression from, you know, from very thick voice to my voice opening up gradually and getting different tones, I started doing different genres of music. You know, sometimes my voice is cracked, I'll sing a rock song and I'll sing it very well, and then it gets thinner and I'm singing an Usher song and I'm singing it very... So I started to, you know, evolve, and I discovered that I could use my voice in different ways. I could close my voice and use it in a way. I could open it more. So I was now more intentional with my tone, which has culminated in the album that is being worked on right now. It's completed already, but we just want to drop some singles before the album drops eventually in August. It's titled Every Sound. You know, just from the title, you can tell that, you know, it's a mashup of different sounds. You have jazz, you have rock and roll, you have Afrobeats, you have pop, you have classical music. So we are aiming to have like the most eclectic album in the world. So that's the target. It's a 30-tracker album. It's beautiful. I can't wait for the world to hear it.
Yeah, so it's coming out in August.
August, yes.
All right, we'll be waiting on that. Let's talk about your collaboration with the very talented Sophia Nzau. How did that collabo come to be?
Okay, when we did Amapiano, so I was in the studio after finishing my own part of the song. We felt like we've always wanted, you know, inroads into East Africa, but we didn't know how that was going to happen. And then after doing the song, my manager was like, okay, he needed to get somebody who can do some, you know, something in East African language. And then he went on Fiverr. So it's not like we met her like, okay, maybe, yeah, she was there.
You got her on Fiverr?
Yes, she was on Fiverr. Then she would just do verses for people. They pay her, and that's how she was just churning out, you know, collabos. So we met her on Fiverr. He sent her the stems of the song. She listened and then did her verse. Initially, I was not so crazy about, you know, collaboration, but when she sent her verse, I was like, wow, this is amazing. We need to shoot a video. she was going to come to Nigeria. We felt like, no, she's the lady. We need to go to her. And not her coming to us in Nigeria. So, and then we also wanted that East African experience.
Yeah.
So that was when the entire team came to Kenya, and then we shot the video. We met Sophia for the first time. She had an amazing team, lovely lady to work with, and that was how we did that video. And
yeah, it's a beautiful. I guess we can get to listen to it, and then we get back to the interview. Can we get to listen to Sophia Nzau and Zexi's song Piano? Love it for sure. It's so beautiful to see, you know, just those collaborations. I love it. African collaborations, Africans coming together and just doing things together. It's a beautiful thing to see. And then there's something you mentioned. You said, you know, after finding Sophia on Fiverr, you decided, we'll come to her. She's the lady, not the other way around. Kevin, when are you listening? Are you listening? Just this morning we were having a conversation on, you know, there's a lady who proposed to the gentleman. And I mean, it's supposed to be the other way around. Huh? So,
the world is changing, and everybody's learning to pursue what they want and not wait. Because if you wait, another lady may snatch the guy. So she needs to make her move and shoot her shot.
So unfortunate that we've gotten there. But anyway, Unique, you had a question.
Are we expecting maybe any other Kenyan collab of, apart from the one they did with the Sophia?
There was this guy I was watching on YouTube, Nashinsky. Yeah,
he's one of the best we have. Top 3.
I just loved, you know, the sound of his music. And it was someone I told my manager, I was like, okay, this is somebody I'd like to work with. And then, of course, BN is somebody I've always admired, his voice, the tone of his voice, just the way he carries the music and everything. So he's somebody I'm also looking forward to working with.
BN is a music genius for sure.
Yes.
For sure he is.
And like I said initially, I'm working on my Swahili. So we are going to go toe to toe.
Okay. So you're already in talks with the BN?
Not really.
Not really.
But I just have it in the works. Yeah, I have it.
Those would be really, really good collabs. I hope that you get to manage your way to just, you know, have talks and have those songs out, you know, have something out together. You've also gotten to collaborate with Quavo.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. That's a big collaboration.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how that came to be before we get to talk about the new song.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was Quavo's Anthem was a song that it just came to me because as at that time I was listening to his music a lot, and then for me, who is a singer-songwriter, I can actually just like get into your sound and listen to what I think if I were you. This is what I would sing. So that's how I kind of like writing songs for people. So we did that song, and then my team sent it over to his team. As at that time, he was already like in the wee hours of dropping his album. So it was like, you know, his album is almost out, and he already has a creative direction. But that, I mean, it's a song he would be glad to feature on. And I was like, why not? Let's do it. So he jumped on the song. He was so happy to do it, and we enjoyed working on that one with him. And yeah, today that song is out there, titled Quavo's Anthem. For those who haven't heard it, it's a great hip-hop song. So you can see all the way from Amapiano straight to hip-hop.
To hip-hop. Like your sound is so versatile. You can do almost everything.
It just gives you an inkling to what the album is going to sound. It's titled Every Sound. We have great tracks in there. Oh Africa, Air Hostess. The songs are just, you know, so different. Like you can go from one song to the next and you will tell it's the same artist that it's. So, and that's how I want to be. People call me the music chameleon. So I just change with
you camouflage into every one of the sounds that you get onto. Beautiful for sure. All right, let's talk about the new song.
Yes.
That talk about it.
Yeah, Sit Down Pony is a song dropped last week Friday. It's on all digital streaming platforms right now. So actually, when we got done doing the song, we're like, okay, since we're going for the East African Entertainment Awards, and we know Kenyans are beautiful people, we did this lovely Amapiano video here why don't we do another video? And that was when we decided to also shoot the music video. It has been shot. And I hope KBC will give it all the push that it needs. So I thank you guys for all the support. So the music video is done and almost ready. And soon, of course, it's going to be everywhere, YouTube, all channels across the world. So it's a song, it's just a feel-good song. A song to just between lovers and, you know, just talking about company, boy and girl type of thing. So that was what that one was about. And it has an Indian vibe to it because, you know, talking about Every Sound, because this is a single off the Every Sound album. We wanted something that would also have an Indian feel, an Asian feel. And you would see that in the video, and even just from the vocals of the song. So in the end part, you could hear where I was saying, "You're cooling my body, my Johnny Ma, Johnny Ma." So Johnny Ma in Hindu, as in Indian culture, is my love.
Okay.
Yeah. So we needed to pivot to India on that one, and yeah, it's just a feel-good song. You guys listen to it. I'm sure you would enjoy it.
No, we cannot wait for the video to be out so that we get to just see the magic that you got to do in there. This is where we get to end this interview, but before we finish, I would love for you to speak to your Kenyan fans. Just say a word to them, also let them know where to find your music, where to stream it, where to find it on YouTube, and where to find you as well on social media.
Now, Apenda, Kenya, thank you guys so much for all the support. From touchdown to now, it's just been warm reception all way, every day. Thank you, VVD. Thank you, KBC. Thank you, everybody, for the support. I appreciate you guys. So you can find me on Instagram on Mr. Zexi, MRZEXZY. On Facebook is Zexi, ZEXZY. On TikTok is @King Zexi, KINGZEXZY. And on YouTube it's also Zexi, ZEXZY. I thank you guys so much. I love Kenya. This will always be my home. You guys are just the most gorgeous people ever. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you've baptized me. You've called me VVD.
Yeah.
I guess I should adopt
VVD,
that.
I mean, just...
Where is the D coming from?
Is it Adegwa or Ndegwa?
Ndegwa. So Vivian Ndegwa.
Ndegwa.
Yeah.
Vivian.
So you decided it's VV and then D for the Ndegwa.
I actually thought D. Yeah, I mean, sounds lovely.
VVD. If I was an artist, I'm sure that would be such a good name. But thank you so much for coming, and all the best, you know, in your musical journey and everything that you're planning to do, and also on the awarding events that you're here for. We hope that you get to clinch the awards.
Hopefully.
You were nominated on three categories. Yeah, 3 categories. So all the best on that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, this is where we get to end this particular conversation. Don't you go too far, because Entertainment Thursday gets to continue.
Wellness is important in our daily lives, so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular checkup. People don't know they have hypertension. People they don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
From the bliss of new beginnings to the trials of commitment, this is a celebration of resilience, passion, and the power of togetherness. Join us as we unravel real-life stories, because every journey deserves to be cherished, for better, for worse, on KBC Channel 1.
stars out as I met travel yeah, do la ego me do la keep the stars out as I met travel yeah, la yeah, la yeah, la yeah, la yeah, la yeah. It's not the way I see me, because of the way I talk it to me, yeah. Think it's me, the street of Oba, it's me, the street of Sapler, it's me, go, it's me, tell you, you can talk to me like this. Yeah, I'll be wow. You know. So, Minister of Enjoyment, it's a continental, monumental, go live forever. Top another bank out, at the mat, they must be meta. Smoky Sasa, let me can't forget your mother. Ego me do la, keep the stars out as I met travel. Shut up, you know, I'm going to do this. Kata area. You want to make music, you want to?
Shawty fucking puppy, the president of Pluto.
On to our next interview, back like we never left her. All right, and right now I have an artist. He's a Kenyan artist who resides in Australia, and he has this mask on, you know, like you can't see me kind of thing. His name is Kare the Mask, and he's here with us on set just to talk to us about his musical journey as well. Kare, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Are we going to hear you with a mask on?
Oh,
of course not.
I'll take it off.
All right.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
I appreciate the time, the love, and everything, and I'm very humbled to be here, to be honest.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, for those who are seeing you for the very first time, kindly just let them know exactly who Kare is.
Kare the Mask is just an artist like any other Kenyan artist. Different, unique, quirky, and trying to be international, hustler like you guys. You know, everyone is hustling.
We're all hustlers here.
Yeah. So just like any other Kenyan artist, trying to make it in this world, you know, it's harder nowadays, so that's Kare the Mask.
Where did your influence for music begin?
My music comes from my country, Somalia, because we're the land of Biotic, and my friends, my father, my cousins, they all used to sing. And then I used to write from young age. I used to perform in high schools, primary schools. But I never thought I would be a singer. I always wanted to be an actor, entertainer, things like that. Then after writing few songs and then working with my friends and then everyone encouraging me, you can sing, you can do this, you can do that. Then I decided to become a singer.
So you started off writing, you know,
yes.
as a songwriter.
Writing, directing, yeah.
Yeah. What would you say influences your writing?
Oh, my emotions, to be honest. I always write about my feelings and realistic stuff. I'm not one of those artists who do like diss songs or different songs, but mainly it's love songs that I do. And you know, love comes from the heart, so that's the kind of songs that I do, yeah.
Yeah. So from that time when you started off, you know, officially doing music to date, what would you say has changed over the years? What are some of the lessons you've gotten to pick on the go?
At the beginning, you know, when you're starting as a musician, everything's hard. Going to the studio, it's hard because no one will respect you because you're starting. Doing a video, it's hard. Everything's hard. And then as soon as you get a little bit of name and then your first song's out, everything changes. People will respect you, they will see you have a talent, and then the whole thing will change.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of Kenyan artists, young ones who are upcoming and hustling and trying to make it. So I'm trying to say, just keep on hustling and do what you do, because it takes one song. Sometimes it's a luck to be a musician. Sometimes you have to have money. Sometimes you have to have people.
All the times, actually. You need to have money as a musician because, you know, producing music is not cheap, right?
That's true. But I'm talking about, like, if you have a family that have money, then that will help you. But if you are, like, young African artists who are struggling and hustling, it's harder and it's different. So that's why our music is different from the other countries, because Kenyan music is unique. So I'm happy to be Kenyan. I'm happy to be Kenyan artist. And I'm also happy to be a Somalian. So I'm international, Somalian, Kenyan, Australian.
Yeah.
That's why I'm different also.
All right, unique.
My question is on the name.
Yeah.
Care the Mask. Why Care the Mask?
Kare.
Kare.
Yeah.
Kare,
Kare
it's
the
a
Mask.
nickname from my dad's side. Kare means watermelon in my Somalian language.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
kare.
my favorite fruit.
Yeah, kare means watermelon in Somalian.
Okay.
So it was my dad's nickname. And then when I was born, I was the first son of my dad. So I took the nickname from him. And then I added the mask because when I was trying to be a musician, I thought about this, like everyone sings, we all look alike, we're all African, we have similar melodies, and we look alike. So I was like, how are you going to be different from the other artists? So I had to come up with something that differentiates me from the other artists. That's the other thing of me wearing the mask. And also, you know, everyone have a double face.
Yeah.
There's a face that we have it now, and there's a face when you go to bed that comes out, and that's you, a real you. So that's why I also put the mask. So my name comes from there, Carry the Mask.
So you decided you want to, it's an identity. The mask is an identity for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's my marketing side of music.
Yeah. But you don't have it on in all your music videos.
No, no.
Yeah.
Only at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, only at the beginning.
Yeah, so it's not like you don't want us to see you.
No, no,
it's
no.
just, there's this, but then this is all, this is me.
Definitely, yeah. So I put it at the beginning to say, like, this is me when I'm doing my music, and then I take it off and I'm like, this is me, Carry the Mask. So you're dealing with two different people, so.
Yeah, and you like it that way?
I like it that way because when I got the mask on, I'm entertaining, I'm acting, and that's not realistic. But when I got the mask off, that's me, that's when I'm humble, that's when I'm Kare, and that's when I can relate to anyone who's around me. So.
Yeah. Would you say your life has changed since you now got into music fully? Is there a way that your life, you would say, has kind of changed a
Yeah,
bit?
it changed it a lot because, you know, music opens the doors for you. When you're a musician and artist, everyone respects you. Even if you go to the president, he will be like, oh, welcome. You know, there's that thing connected to the musicians. So definitely a lot changed for me in a good way, in a bad way. Because it also comes with the downside of it, people abusing you online, and especially the way I dress, the way I talk, I'm different from the other Somali artists. So it comes with negative side of it, and then the positive side of it, which is, it's fine because that's what we decided to do in life. Yeah.
And how do you deal with the negatives? You know, social media, as much as it's good, it has its bad. And when it's that point where, you know, you're being abused, people are just throwing critics left, right, center. Sometimes people just argue for the sake of it, you know, find something to just talk about, you know. So just how do you deal with that, you know?
You don't respond to it. You know, if you know yourself who you are and what you're capable of, then you don't have to. You don't have to respond to it, no matter what. Whatever they say, never respond to it. Because as soon as you open your mouth and try to defend yourself, that's when you open another side of it. So I always keep quiet. I never respond to any negative. I never respond to anyone abusing me, nothing.
Do you delete? Or you just leave it there but don't respond?
On my socials, if they come to my page and write something negative on mine, I delete, because I'm not going to allow someone to come into my house and then abuse me and then have that, see, publicity and all that. No, if you want to abuse me, take it to somewhere else. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
But on my pages, no, I don't allow that.
You don't allow it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's how it's supposed to be.
I wouldn't agree anyone else allowing it, because you will never allow anyone coming into your house and then abuse you and then sit next to you and then, nah.
Yeah, for sure.
I do delete it on all my socials.
Okay, good way to deal with it. Good way to deal with it, for sure. Let's talk about your sound. How would you describe your sound?
My sound is more like Afro-Indian kind of. I used to watch a lot of Indian movies. I used to listen to R&B music, reggae music, and Tanzanian music. So it's a mixture of Somali, Kenyan, kind of Indian, Arabic. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you said you used to watch a lot of Indian movies. I don't know if you know this, Unique. You know, when you watch an Indian movie, trust me, they're gonna break into a song.
Definitely.
At some point.
30 minutes. 30 minutes of that movie.
Of the movie is them singing. So, so I get when you said it, you know, you got influenced by that, you know, as well. Of the music that you've gotten to check out, which one would you say gave you a footing where you felt, okay, now I feel like people are listening?
Oh, there was a song I did with one of other artist from Ethiopia. His name is Rich Michael. He's a good friend of mine. He's one of the biggest artists in East Africa.
Yeah.
I collaborated with him. That song, I think, resonated with a lot of people in East Africa. Tanzania, Kenya, Somalia, everywhere. It became a big. So after that song, I started believing in me, and I started saying that, okay, this is the direction I want to go with my music. Because I used to do different sounds, reggae, raga, rapping, like different melodies. Then I realized this is the way I do want to go, because this is the way people listen to and like. So yeah, that's the song. I think opened the doors for me.
It opened the doors for you, and it's been, you know,
yes,
amazing ever since.
Yeah.
You touch on different themes when it comes to your music. You speak on identity a lot. You speak on resilience. You know, you speak on different societal issues. Just tell me why, or how do you get to decide this is what I'm going to be talking about, and why that, you know, those themes specifically on resilience, on identity, because they seem like they're very strategic, like it's intentional.
It's very specific, some of my songs, because I grew up with our mom and dad. I grew up with my auntie, with my cousins, and most of the time I was in overseas. So that made me who I am today. I become a different person. I realized what life is all about. So there's a lot of young kids who are struggling, who live the same way that I lived, and it resonates with me because everything that I'm going through, if I put it on a song and someone listens to it, it changes their perspective in life, and that may change their life. So that's what motivates me to do what I do. Yeah. And most of my songs are family, love, like any relatable ideas.
Yeah. How do you get to pick on your collaborations?
It depends. Sometimes it's luck. You will be in the studio and then the artist will come in and then you connect and it happens. Sometimes you will see an artist that you like and you will think both of you are relatable and can sing together. And then you will go after them and say, hey, do you want to work with me and do this and that? Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when you're an upcoming artist.
It's hard to get collabos.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely it's hard to get Kenyan artists to collaborate with because, I don't know, Kenyan music used to be good and used to be like...
Used to?
It used to.
I love Kenyan music. So
I do love Kenyan music, please don't get me wrong. But you know what I mean? It used to be international. It used to be #1 in Africa, even before Nigeria. And then Nigeria overtook us, Tanzania overtook us. That's what I mean, international stage. But when you're here in Kenya, our Kenyan music is good. It's a clubbing music. There's no like that song actually you can listen to and say, hey, this song actually touched me deeply. But now I do listen to Bien. I love Bien, and I would love to collaborate with him.
Yeah.
People like that, yes, he's international. He's one of the best in East Africa. So I'm talking about quality of our music has changed compared to the artists we had and used to respect back in the day.
Yeah. I think I should put you on to some artists maybe. Because, you know, when you say it, you know, it's not music that maybe sometimes you'd listen to and get to feel like it's touched you. I get what you're saying because I think nowadays, most artists are checking out, you know, like club bangers,
songs.
you know, club songs. But there are artists who still, you know, get to your feelings, you know. There are artists who will do club bangers and at the same time do, you know, someone like Kiani will give us, you know, a song where he's just talking about pombe. Pombe is, you know, pombe, of course. Yeah, who's talking about pombe, sherehe and all that. And then he will come back and give us a really nice love song that you just get to listen to and wish that you can fall in love and all of that. So it depends. I feel like we are on both spectrums, like
But we need to compete with the world, you know, and we need to be #1 in Africa. So there's a lot of young artists who are upcoming artists, very talented.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I hope Kenyan music to go back to where it used to be. We're good, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the quality that we had back in the days was different level, to be honest. And that motivates me to be like that. And that's why I do my music, because I used to listen to old Kenyan artists. Yeah.
Okay. Unique, what do you think about that? Let me get your perspective as a DJ, as someone who plays Kenyan music.
He knows what I'm talking about. Kenyan music is all about clubbing. It's all about when you
Not all of
cars,
it, but I get you.
But when
yeah.
you're at home, you know, there are songs that you love to listen when you're at home.
Yeah, true.
That's what I'm talking about, those kind of songs.
Yeah.
Like you sit at home, you listen, you enjoy,
Yeah.
have like coffee with it. So, yeah.
What do you think, Yudi?
Actually, there's some truth in what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because these days, artists, they release songs according to the trend. Anything that is trending, they will write a song on that trend. When your trend is something that will just end with...
Give you views,
sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think they've not put in more effort in just giving us good music that will last for long. They're just giving us some shorter music.
Okay.
See that?
Nyi mkianza kupigwa blows huko sijui X ama sijui wapi. Mimi by then nimesema Kenya music ni mzuri. Musini
you ask us the question, we give you the right answer. Yeah.
Musini include kwa hivi.
It's from you.
Let them console me. I will give them the right
But,
we have to be
I
honest.
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I also still know that there's this other side where people are giving us music that you can get to just sit and listen to, and it gets to you. There are those artists. It's just that maybe they're not as mainstream. That's
You
it.
see the level, like Bien, he's a different level, to be honest,
Yeah.
compared to other East African artists. Even Nigerian artists, I think it's up there. So you see the kind of music I'm talking about and the kind of music most of us do, including me. So that's why I'm trying to be different.
Okay.
Get to that stage, then I can say, actually, we did it. So.
Okay.
So don't get me wrong, please.
When
I
you'll
don't want to be
receiving
bashed
your
online.
jams, I will not be there.
I'm just saying.
But it's okay. It's okay. It's allowed. What do you think can be done differently, maybe, for Kenyan music to get to, you know, a level where we are crossing borders now?
Kenyan artists don't help each other, trust me. Like, everyone is hustling their own. Like, they don't support each other like the other countries do. Everyone wants to do their own thing. Everyone wants to be the number one. Everyone this and that. It's good to be number one and be like your own unique way. But when it comes to your fellow Kenyans, you need to support. Whether it comes to like even saying, hey, this is good, I like it. Or whether like financially, whether the studio side of it. Trust me, we don't help each other. It's like, you're your own. Make it. I don't care about it. Yeah, that's the thing. So that needs to change. And the other thing, I think we need a governmental support. Kenyan artists, most of them, they don't get the sponsorships. They don't get governmental support. And as a country, we need to come together. It seems like everyone's like, I don't care. I just want to do my own. And I hope it changes in a better way, because we're better than this. And Kenya is a good country. I love Kenya. Half of my family is here. I grew up here, so I hope we change in a better way.
Okay. All right. I'll allow you to talk to us about your latest music as we finish.
Yeah. So I've released a song last night. It's a mixture of kind of raga. It's Swahili, English, and Somali. It's done by producer Paulo. He's my producer, one of the biggest producers.
Yeah.
So I've worked to different producers. So, but this is the song that I want to promote. It's kind of club banger. But my previous song, it was more like love song and this and this. But this is with the trend. So yeah, that's the song.
You've decided to join the trend
I
after
have to.
bashing the trend.
I have to. That's what I was saying, including me.
It's
So
fine.
yeah.
All right. So is the video out?
Yeah, it's out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get to listen to that. Thank you so much for coming.
You're very
and maybe you
welcome.
can just talk to people and let them know where to find you on social media and where to find your music.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
It's a
And
pleasure.
thank you everyone in Kenya for supporting me, listening to my music. I truly love you. So my name is Kara the Mask. You can find me on Instagram, just Kara the Mask. Everywhere, all my social media, it's just the same name, Kara the Mask. So I love you so much. Please don't get me wrong. You know, sometimes people can say something and someone can translate it in a different way. So I love Kenya, I love Kenyan music, but I want us to change to be better. So that's all I'm saying. And thank you so much for having me.
Totally get you. Thank you so much, Kare, for coming to the show, and all the best in your music endeavors.
Thank you.
So Unique, get to play for us new music from Kare Music. Kare the Mask.
Shake it, walkie, Najma.